Bitcoin and crypto are bouncing in a very, very big way as a result of the 50 basis point rate cut, which just came in from the Federal Reserve. And consequently, the market's going to be looking for loose monetary policy and possibly even quantitative easing, which is where the bull markets that all of you have come to know and love occur most significantly. So we have a whole lot to look at in today's show. Smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel. And let's get straight into the show content. An absolute sea of green, which is beautiful on the Banter Bubbles charts over here on the daily time frame. Weekly also up massively over there, monthly up, and even the yearly. A lot of the coins which were previously red just a couple of days ago are now starting to turn back towards the upside, which means it is in fact looking good. Hourly pushing over here as well towards the top side, and therefore it may be time to start to look to allocate into the crypto market. We will assess this in today's show. We'll have a look at the aggressive traders and what they're doing. We'll look at the conservative traders and what they're going to be waiting for, and then most importantly, we'll cover the outlook for what you can expect in the next 3, 6, and 12 months for the crypto markets, because it really is game time at the moment. So if you have a look over here, Anthony Pompliaulo said yesterday that the Fed jacked up interest rates at the fastest pace in history, sold the nearly $2 trillion off of their balance sheet, yet stocks are still at all-time highs. And he said then today we're going to get the regime change, which is exactly what happened. Easy money flowing through the system. What do you think happens next? I think that the answer couldn't be any more obvious, right? It's only some of those people who think that this time is different that are looking for an alternative narrative and an alternative direction for price action. But if things follow the historical path, which so often tends to rhyme within these markets, then you know what I would expect next. Stay tuned till the end if you're unsure of that. So that is, of course, most of the market was expecting only a 25 basis point rate cut among many of the top professional economists out there. And you can see that we actually got the 50 basis point cut. So the expectation will be that this will continue, right? Probably 2 25 basis point rate cuts at the next interest rate decision. But nevertheless, the pivot has occurred within the market, and that means that there is a transition taking place. Not only this, you do have other bullish news coming in with, of course, BlackRock, right? Eric says over here, BlackRock just put out a 9-page white paper, which makes the case for the Bitcoin ETF as a unique diversifier, which can hedge against fiscal, monetary, and geopolitical risks, also including section called Bitcoin's Path to get this $1 trillion market cap. And that's crazy, right? That's going to be going out to a whole lot of their clients. And you can expect that the ETF inflows should increase on this type of news. So stock markets, very, very strong. S&P 500 on the top left over here, literally at all-time highs. NASDAQ slightly lagging over there. Dow Jones already created all-time highs. Hasn't closed at all-time highs again yet, but probably will. And then you have lagging behind is going to be Coinbase, which is following, remember, the rest of crypto. So if you are looking for a safe index play and betting on the overall altcoin market cap sector, as opposed to trying to pick the winners. Maybe not so good at that. Maybe you don't have the time and the energy and the focus to monitor all these various different positions. Well, pretty much buying Coinbase stock down here will inevitably move in relation to whatever the direction of the overall crypto or altcoin sector is going to do. So that's a safe play, I believe, even at these current levels. It may come down a little bit lower. Kind of worst case scenario I would view would be about $120 for Coinbase coming down into that level. But given the snapback and the mean reversion that you're probably going to get from crypto following on and catching up to the stock market and gold, it's no guarantee, right, that you'll actually get to those low levels. That may start to bounce beforehand. And a couple of the reasons why is, well, you can see the DXY, MACD just crossing towards the downside. And this is what happened the prior times, right? The MACD on the DXY, which is the dollar index, crossing down. We usually saw follow through with the moving averages also crossing. DXY comes down, Bitcoin rallies. That was your cycle in 2017. This is just giving you a really, really nice overview of what happens on the 2-month time frame. Look at the 2021 run, right? Crossing towards the downside on the MACD. DXY comes down hard. Bitcoin leads to its parabolic advancement, which is exactly what you expect following this point in the halving cycle. And the DXY is doing exactly the same thing right now. And we're just missing that final parabolic phase over there for the DXY. So here's the DXY. I've marked off the acceleration level, which is on the left, or at least underneath over here at about 100.55, waiting for a breakdown below that level. As soon as you get below that, then you should see acceleration lower, and that's where crypto will start to rally. For any of you that are new here and you want to learn more about this, remember that we are taking signups right now for Whale School. You have 6 days, 5 hours left to go. Remember, this is only while those spots are still available. We can only take a certain number of people into each cohort because they're very personalized. You get to ask me questions. So use the link in the description below if you would like to join that. Sign up while the spots are still available. All right, looking at the support resistance flip, as long as prices close here on high time frame scales above the $63,000 mark, you would successfully flip the strong horizontal. And therefore, we can say that the chances are very, very significantly high that the low is in. And I think you'll remember that I drew this out and said this would be the expectation, right? You'd probably be watching for something like that, a bottom to form like this. And this is exactly what's happening, right? A lot of volatility on a month-to-month basis, getting people both bullish and bearish all at the same time, only for price to close right in the midline over there. And therefore, still looking good, right? Still looking good for continuation onwards and upwards. Not only that, but we also see the Bitcoin miners selling pressure is now actually at one of the lowest points that it's ever been, right? They're holding the line over here. Mining companies are not actually only hodling their Bitcoin, but they're actually buying more. A lot of them are moving their profits into spot buys for Bitcoin. So very bullish for the longer term over there, and expect that prices should hold up. So we'll go over a couple of the other bullish catalysts. Another thing is FTX is going to be redistributing $16 billion to their creditors, and that's going to be happening now going into Q4. So from any time from next month, and that starts 2 weeks time, right? And then most of that liquidity, since they are degens from crypto, are probably going to put a lot of that back into the market. It's not the only thing to be focused on. We also have to be focused on, since the 50 basis point rate cut took place, there's going to be those money markets, $6 trillion worth of capital, which is going to be flowing into the stock markets, as well as other risk on markets like Bitcoin. So if you look at 𝗕𝗢𝗕𝗄 over here, Charles Edwards, he says a couple of reasons, right, that you can be bullish. You can look at this over here. These are the various different points. Fed, full pivot into strong economy, soft to possibly no landing expected, easing rate regime targeting a drop to 3% next year, equities at all-time highs, gold leading Bitcoin more than in 2020. Remember, 2020, gold also broke out first, and then Bitcoin followed a couple of months later. Seasonality, Q4 in play. Remember, we've spoken about that a lot. Go to the previous shows, and you can go and look at the monthly return chart on CoinGlass, as well as the quarterly returns chart on CoinGlass. And what you typically see is September, also known as Rectember, is the final buying opportunity before going into October, which is October, November, December, where you see aggressive rallies within the markets, especially in a post-halving year. So the halving cycle has occurred. It's got 100% hit rate. Actually, when you have a look at it, that Q4 after the halving cycle is an up-only environment. So that's your seasonality Q4 in play. We have the seasonality optimal 12 months in Bitcoin cycle, suggesting another 12 months left for the cycle. You guys know I've spoken about that a lot. Election year, we'll look at that on a chart again, but election years typically result in big, major moves towards the upside. Remember, governments need their people to be happy, wealthy, and not under financial strain and pressure when leading into an election, so that they can swing the votes in their favor. So the ruling party will typically bring that loose monetary policy, making it seem, at least artificially, that the economy is super strong, right? Bitcoin coming out of a multi-month net short regime, miners holding more than ever before. We just spoke about that. Sailors, of course, always raising more money. Michael Saylor for MicroStrategy to buy more crypto. NTV deep discount, dormancy flow in deep discount, trading below Bitcoin's production costs. Typically, you don't really see that for very, very long periods of time. You don't hold below the production cost for very long periods of time. That is a great, at least, tool that you can utilize to determine where major bottoms will occur in the markets. So There it is. US presidential election will begin on the 5th of November, and we're coming very, very close. While prices in that massive cup and handle formation or bull flag, whatever the pattern is that you want to look at over here. Point being, we're still waiting for the break above $65,000. For those of you who are very, very conservative over there, the only problem is that risk returns to the market very quickly. So as soon as you take out that 65, you may see an explosive candle straight through this level. And before you know it, Bitcoin could be trading back at all-time highs. And that would obviously leave you having to chase price higher. So that's why personally, I like to, buy as close to where I believe the lows will be as possible, which is what we did. We targeted this in so many different ways. We spoke about this, in terms of the 50% wick fill. We had a look at, let's just quickly throw that on. There we go. We had a look at so many different things. You came into this zone, filling the 50%, hitting the low boundary of the parallel channel. There was a million different reasons. We've covered this at length on this particular channel. Coming into low volatility, if bulls take back control, the volatility will actually drop off even more over here, squeezing on the BBWP and resetting for a mammoth move, which would be exactly what's needed following this massive cup formation over here, which would take Bitcoin all the way up to $107,000. And usually when these cup and handle formations break out, they don't do it slowly, they do it very, very quickly. So something to watch over there. Importantly, you have price now trading back above the 21 exponential moving average. I also spoke about this. When price is below it and it's angled down, it's typically a bearish signal, but you have to take into consideration the seasonality and where we are cyclically within this particular crypto cycle. And I said this is one reason why I don't want to say ignoring this signal, but taking it less seriously and rather holding a mindset of a buy the dip scenario versus a exit all market scenario, which is what a lot of people were talking about. So it seems to be playing out almost to perfection over here. We also spoke about, of course, the stochastic RSI turning back up. We've looked at the 13 reads, and we had 11 out of the 13 that were positive with double-digit gains, which would get us above the key resistance levels and hold us above their breaking structure towards the upside. So all in all, everything is playing out to plan, right? You also have price now starting to reclaim these key moving averages. This is a resistance level. I won't deny that. Coming into the exact zone that we had over here at about 62,300, but based on the momentum that's behind the bulls right now, and if the stock markets open up very strong later on today, you should see follow through over here. And then the catch-up trade starts to kick in and become the narrative within the market that crypto is going to be catching up and Bitcoin is going to be catching up to gold and the S&P 500. The narrative will shift very, very quickly. The sentiment will shift quickly. And there's a lot of sideline money that will start pouring back into the market and should get you above these levels. Again, safe traders. All you have to do is wait for confirmations. What are your confirmations? Well, your first earliest sign as a confirmation will be a weekly close above the 21 EMA, which the 21 EMA currently is coming in at 60,568. So as long as we close here or higher, well, that's bullish, right? The other thing that you can look at over here is also closing above this key level or breaking structure. If you get, remember, above that 65K level, which was your last lower high, then you're starting to break the structure towards the upside once again. And then this is the big, big level to flip, is that 69K zone, which we spent months attempting to break through, and we couldn't. We spoke about this when we said that the failure to get through this level, if bulls don't step up and take control very, very soon, what would likely happen is, like in warfare, they would need to regather the troops, retreat, and get strong again, reaccumulate, and then try again to breach at least that enemy line, which is at 69K. So that's exactly what's happened. They've reset the troops over here, recouped, gone through the reaccumulation phase, which is exactly this, right? We have the Wyckoff reaccumulation schematic in play. We spoke about that recent wick that came towards the downside, most likely being a spring phase. And the way that we identified that was off of the high volume. There it is, the high volume candle spiking over here towards the upside. Bears failed to break down the bottom of the range at $49,000. Bulls immediately brought price back towards the upside. You started to print in higher lows. Now, it's debatable whether you want to call this higher lows or still lower lows, because theoretically, if you do put it onto a line chart, theoretically, that would be a double bottom, right? You have exactly the same level as a closing candle. So double bottom over there, call it what you will. At the end of the day, from a wick basis, this is high lows, and you do have another one on over here. Price is starting to move up. We hit the inflection point, which we've looked at for a long period of time. And now we're expecting rapid acceleration into the end of September, mid-October. We expect that things will start to let's not say rapid acceleration yet, but slowly start to accelerate. Gradual acceleration, first gradually and then rapidly as soon as you come out of this. And that's where you typically see those next major moves. And the way that we identified this was we had a look at the relationship between price and the following or at least the timeline from the halving cycle into the point where things started to go parabolic. And the answer that we came to, or the conclusion that we came to, was that typically occurs in the region of 160 days post-halving or 680 days following the cycle low. And that's where this date comes into play. The 27th of September and the 1st to the 6th of October marks out 160 days post-halving and 680 and 685 days following the cycle lows. So everything is playing out to plan. That's what it would look like, right? This is our current cycles. We've spoken about it. We're following the pink one, which is flashing on and off the screen over there. I've isolated and removed market cycle 1 and 2 because of the diminishing returns, which tends to occur as markets become bigger and bigger. And therefore, this is where we're at, right? We're right at that inflection point, just waiting for things to slowly start catching up. I mean, there's the evidence right before you. This is exactly like the previous times. It could not be any more exact. Price is literally trading exactly where it was in between cycle 3 and 4. I mean, that is for you. So I think the evidence is clear and obvious as to what comes next. And consequently, I'm looking to establish positions, right? I'm looking to establish those spot positions. I have just dropped in Whale that, of course, I'll be giving all of that information out. If you go through into Whale and you go under Captain's Take straight after the show, I'm going to start to drop that altcoin portfolio, which I'm looking to hold for the next 6 and 12 months. If you do want to join, remember, use the link in the description below. It will take you through to this WAP page over here. WAP will automatically set you up with Discord. Well, just get a Discord account, but once you link your Discord username with the WAP or with WAP, it will automatically bring you into the Whale Room Discord. So that's how it works. That's where it's going to be dropped. That's where we keep all of the viewers up to date with each and every trade that we're taking. So another thing that we're looking at over here was, of course, the Bitcoin negative funding on the weekly time frame, just like we saw in the COVID correction over here, or crash, not correction, which then led into the next major move, just like we saw in the FTX collapse over here, just like we saw in the USDCD peg, as well as the yen cash and carry trade. So you can see it did flip positive once again, but any periods where it is negative, it didn't close negative because the weeklies were brought back up. But those periods when it did flip negative, you'll know that I was saying that this creates an opportunity, right? It's a buy the dip opportunity. We have the bull moon intact. Everything is working out according to plan. And this, the expectation will be that at least leading into the end of September, bulls will have their chance to take control. And hopefully what they do with that control is they run price up through this level to take out that $65,050 zone, to take out the downsloping trend line over here and break that overall resistance. Now, I'm not a fortune teller and I definitely don't control the markets, just to be clear. So all we're doing is weighing up all the various different probabilities. Of course, it's possible bears take back control and set in another lower high over here. So you do need to be aware of that. If that does happen and there's a double bottom which occurred over here on the closing candle basis, then we need to be careful that that lower high doesn't lead to a triple bottom, because triple bottoms are unlikely to hold and most likely will break. So those are the various different things that we need to look at, because as an investor and trader, you must have a validation and an invalidation zone for anything that you're looking at. Fear and greed back up to 49. I don't think that it's shooting up as quickly as what we previously saw. This is completely expected. A lot of people are neutral. A lot of people are waiting for full confirmations, like the conservative traders that I spoke about. If you are conservative, that's what you'll be waiting for. And only once you start to breach that 65K level will you probably see this move back into the greed territory. So a whole lot to look at over there. You're getting the golden cross on the 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin between the 50 and the 200. Prices hovering above. Oftentimes when you do get these golden crosses, though, also I want to make it clear that if you are about to start a strong trending move, you'll oftentimes see this act as a magnet where price will pull back into that, which means around that 60K level will be a buy the dip opportunity if that even does happen and price pulls back into that zone. So Again, if you want to learn more about that, all those EMA strategies, everything I talk about is in Well School, guys. Sign up while you still can. Now, part of the reason why I'm looking to establish positions is because I do believe that the next attempt at the highs will likely break price out, especially at that 69K level. I think that's where we leave that zone for good, and or at least for the rest of the bull cycle. Until we back in the bear market, we probably won't come back down to those levels. And consequently, while the funding rate heat map is flat to negative, which is exactly what it is over here. If you look at the color slider, right, the last time that we saw very strong buying pressure within the market and FOMO coming in was in this orange period, right, in March. Now, if you have a look at it where it's currently at, it's still pretty negative, right? People are very scared to leverage buy altcoins. And the truth of the matter is this is actually probably one of the safer times to do that. If you know what you're doing and how to build a position and how to average into a position, this is probably the safer time to do it. Whereas in your emotional state and your feelings, it feels like it's really safe to be doing it around here, around February, March, when in actual fact, that's very dangerous. That's where you should be removing your leverage and starting to move into spot consolidating your 100 positions, 50 positions, however many positions you have into a easier to manage portfolio with less coins, so that you can cut your positions at an instant if the market says that you should and price starts to break down. All right. So we are, of course, long on Casper still. This is one of the trades we've been looking at. SUI has been absolutely ripping. Thankfully, we were in SUI for quite a long time, at least in Whale Room. I did personally expect that we'd reject from the top side of this channel over here. I still wouldn't be chasing price, right? This is really ripping. This is your next resistance zone coming in at 145. What happens if you took the long trades with us all the way near the range lows? Should you be taking profit? Well, if you did, you'd be up absolutely enormously, right? That's up to you to decide how long your time horizon is, how long you want to hold. You're up 130%. You could probably take your initial capital out, look to reallocate on a pullback. If you do get the pullback down into 130, well, from current levels down to 130 on SUI, that would be about a 26% move. And that means you can increase your position by just taking some profits now and re-adding when it gets to those low regions. So a lot of the coins are starting to look good, even Cardano, right? Can you believe it? Cardano holding the range low over here in a falling wedge formation, looking to start to breach that. We're already seeing near breaching the top side of the falling wedge channel, looking for possible move towards the upside. You have high lows in the making over here. So all in all, that is looking good. Okay, let's look at Say's kind of just oscillating around. We have Solana. You definitely don't want to see Solana come back down here again. Solana, if it's going to go, it needs to start to move very quickly. Otherwise, if you keep hanging around this 120 region, there is a risk that you might break it. If you do break it, your support levels are $100, and then the next stop is $80. I can't see this happening unless the rest of the market turns down. I can't see everything else running and Solana turning over, but it is something to be aware of. Okay, you have Toncoin pushing up. Remember, your 618 and 0.65 golden pocket is coming in at $6.20, right? So that's a little bit of a resistance zone. Be careful as price comes into there if you are currently long on Ton. Injective, okay, also breaking the downsloping trend line, breaking the falling wedge, coming off of major support with high lows in the making. This one looks good. What else do we have? We have a lithium also hanging around this key level over here, not looking too bad, breaking the downsloping trend line, possible high low in the making, and price may get moving. Let's quickly see Stacks. Stacks is typically a higher beta play to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin runs, Stacks should also run. You are putting in high lows. You still need a higher over here. Charts a little bit sloppy for my liking personally. Okay, Mantra. Pulling back ever so slightly, but as long as you defend and hold above $1.27, that should be looking good. Okay, what other ones do we have? Let's just quickly scroll through. I'm just looking for, decent coins. Let's see how's Fetch doing. Okay, Fetch still looking strong over here. Higher highs, high lows. This one could be reversing the trend finally. EOS also at a key level. We have Tau pushing out over here, breaking out from the horizontal. This is a pretty key zone. You may get a throwback into that level. We'll see soon enough if this is a real breakout or a fake out. If it is a fake out, watch for the deviation back under the yellow box, which would be breaking below 335. Render, I looked at this morning, still looks a little bit sloppy over here. So personally, I'm going to skip that one. I'm not looking at that. Akash, not much over there to mention. Let's see, what else have we got? What else have we got over here? Let's have a look at, let's see. 𝗧𝗓 has been pumping lately, but it is coming into resistance. So if it can start to flip and break and hold above that level, that will start to look really, really good. 𝗕𝗅, we're still focusing on 𝗕𝗅 for potential deviation. If the rest of the market gets moving, there it is, the power of 3, right? Long-term reaccumulation comes into the falling wedge. Chart-wise, it's pretty clear over here. Very, very picture perfect. But I would definitely wait for strength and momentum to come back into the market, but keep an eye out on 𝗕𝗅. They are EVM compatible now, which opens up a whole new sphere for them. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit further. How's the meme coins doing? Okay, Myro. Okay, starting to push up over here. Remember, we spoke about this pretty much being rock bottom for Myro, hitting a key horizontal level, also in a falling wedge. This one's not a textbook perfect falling wedge, but nevertheless, the picture is there. Nairo, huge pump, 40%. Look, choppy coin. Be careful with this one if you are trading it. I don't know about holding it for the long run, but maybe for in and out trades. Look at Ponky. Ponky starting to move over here. A lot of the coins are starting to push up very, very, very quickly. Popcat already making all-time highs. This has been one of our top picks. We were in Popcat. From this low over here, we then reallocated again at this zone. So I took a pretty sizable trade on this. I mean, up 124% on that trade already, which is an absolutely banger of a trade. Okay, resistance dog starting to turn a corner over here. What else have we got? This is how quickly risk returns back into the market, guys. It comes very, very quick. I'm looking at Brett as well to see if it's going to possibly create this higher low over here, start to push up and break the downsloping trend line. Giga also not looking too bad over here. You know, this was the key level that we're previously looking at. You're looking to flip that 0.019 level. Okay, let's scroll down. What else have we got? Let me know in the comment section if there's anything you want. I see some of you are requesting Mini. We can have a look at Mini. Okay, let's have a look at Mini. There it is, up to $20 million market cap. There it is, beautiful, holding above the mid-range. This is also one of my altcoin picks, one of my meme coins portfolio. I am holding this over here, so looking for a greater push towards the upside. Now, you still got poor ETH BTC getting absolutely hammered. This will really, really be a risk-on signal for the rest of the altcoin sector and the alt season when you do start to send this chart back towards the upside, which may only occur next year. I think, you know, if you're looking at a high time frame perspective over the next 12 months, is ETH BTC going to be trading lower or higher? I would say much higher. So do with that information as you will. Your ETH USD chart on the right-hand side is starting to look like it's making a high low over here. Confirmation of that high low forms when ETH USD gets above 2,443. Now, remember, I will be dropping all of those trades as well in Whale Room. Jump into Whale Room if you do want to learn more. If it's not only me that's in there, right? There's a lot of top traders, guys, that you can learn from. A lot of value. Remember, I only have so many hours in a day, so these guys have got you covered 24/7. Make sure you jump in there if you do want to learn more. That's it from me, folks. I'll see you all on the next one. I hope you all have a great day, and cheers for now.